So this appeared to the CCP leadership is a great idea. So very soon, in the same year, some leadership begin to use some of the terminology in their speeches. So, for example, in 1991, when Jiang Zemin visited Xinjiang, he proposed what the three cannots. Say the Hans cannot do without minorities, minorities cannot do with each minority groups, and minorities cannot do without the Hans. They all need each other. And of course, Hu Jintao, in his speech at the 16th CCP National Congress, he proposed this idea of this Chinese cohesiveness, 中华民族凝聚力, is a way to unite the whole Chinese nation with all the minority groups. And of course, the policy changes. For example, in the mid-90s, the Chinese government proposed this policy, that is, speed up economic development and downplay the national question. So focus on the economy, in a sense, ignore the national question. That's the questions about minorities. And of course, there's change. The 1991 language law, that's a new law, and also in 2001, it passed a new language law, and 2001, it revised its autonomy law. Or a specific look at those. So in this approach, the state takes a simulationist approach to citizenship. That means the state now expects more obligations and duties from its citizens, minority citizens. For example, more political citizenship. That is, want minorities to be more to be a member as the inclusive Chinese nation, less a member of a minority group. So that means, to a large extent, decrease minority groups, minority citizens' political autonomy, and also socio-economic citizenship. Now, this huge plan, the Open Up the West development, that's also first proposed in 1999, started 2000. It's also a way to as an implementation of the policy of speed up economic development and to involve all the minorities within this economic development in China. And cultural citizenships, cultural autonomy decreased, but at the same time, if you watch Chinese TVs, you can see more minorities. You can see more minority shows today in TV than before, even local channels. So that's a way to give certain symbolic representation as diversity for the public consumption. Ideology. Because the change of this model, now the ideology is very much monolingualism. That is, Chinese as the inclusive national Chinese language is supported by the 2001 law. For example, the language law specifically specified domains for Chinese use, and also the revision of the regional autonomy law. I'll look at that later. And most importantly is in 2000, okay, this error there. It's not 2000, that's 1992, that's wrong. It should be 1991. In 1991, the Chinese state issued document. That is document 32. According to that document, minority languages should be extensively used in education and in government. But after the collapse of the law, that after the collapse of the Soviet Union, that law became a domain. So the government never use it again. And actually, they talk about abandoning the law. And of course, local support of bilingual education decreased. For example, in Yunnan, the provincial government, one of the CCP secretaries say, okay, we don't need any minority language education. We should all, because of the economic development, we should all study Chinese. So that was in the 90s. That affected a lot of minority language media education. And this also changed the people's attitudes, language attitudes. It changed minorities' attitudes towards their own languages too. For example, in Tibetan communities, I think there are two main stream ideas. One is, okay, we should all study Tibetan and not studying Chinese. And that's the idea that we should all study Chinese and ignore Tibetan. So in a certain way, this ideology, this change promotes the idea that that the community, some community members think they should ignore their native languages and embracing Chinese language. And of course, it has the hugest impact on the Han's attitudes. In the 50s and 60s, many Han Chinese learn minority languages. When they work in minority communities, they learn minority languages. And their kids learn minority languages. Now, almost none. So the new order is Chinese as the super language and minority languages as the subordinate languages, or more specifically, symbols of diversity. So this is specifically in the law. For example, the 2001 language law designates more domains for the use of Chinese. For example, in schools, in all schools in minority communities, Chinese should be used. And in TVs, in the government, and at the same time, the government give more resources to teaching and learning Chinese. Yesterday I mentioned, recently the Chinese government gave 3.5 billion yuan to Xinjiang government to start a Chinese language program for daycare, for example. And also the 2001 revised autonomy law. For example, it proposed the teaching of Chinese. Before the pass of this law, the revision of this law, the old law is that Chinese being taught in minority schools at the 3rd grade or later. According to the new law, first year, or even now, they promote starting from daycare. And also this law requires minority officials to use standard oral and written Chinese. That was not in the old law.